question that was sent in. Start off with you. This is a call and question for the reintroduction of corporal punishment at schools, allowing principals and teachers to take full control of children while in school uniform, as it seems these days it's a thing of the past. Several cases of children misbehaving, swearing at teachers, being truant, involved in drugs, etc. What are your thoughts, knowing that you have worked with children?
Thank you, Vijay. That's it's an interesting question. Like I said, I grew up in America. In America, treats discipline very differently. Obviously, we know, and much of the policies that we have kind of flow from that direction. I grew up around American children, and I understand the system. I understand what they're like, and so I have children of my own. So I'm trying to raise them, having those conversations with them, doing the corner thing, doing the room thing. But I sense and I feel that there needs to be discipline, definitely. But the question is, how do we discipline, and can discipline be done without, as we say, corporal punishment? Personally, I believe that it needs to be reintroduced. However, perhaps there needs to be some level of education around what is healthy discipline or means of corporal punishment. So I think really corporal punishment is an issue of a matter of, can we use corporal punishment in a way that's not abusive? Because I think that was the issue in the past, of corporal punishment being abusive. However, the issue of discipline is a definite issue that needs to be dealt with. How are we disciplining our children in a way that they understand the consequences without actually falling off the cliff? Because we don't want them to fall off the cliff. However, we want them to understand that there are consequences to their choices. So I guess in that regard, I would be for corporal punishment, but a measure of corporal punishment that is controlled. And force is always the last option, but I think there's a way to use that. And I would say more so on the younger ages. As you arrive at a place of being able to converse with young people and understand and have an understanding, that there needs to be more dialogue that needs to take place so that children understand the consequences they have and that they're being supported to make right choices. I think we have, just culturally speaking, we have a very low sense of tolerance, we could say, for mistakes. And so punishment has always been you do something wrong, immediately the wooden spoon or the bell comes out. And so I think that's another aspect of discipline that needs to be dealt with, and maybe parents need to be taught how to understand that your children will fail sometimes, that they will make mistakes. And so punishment is it's not beating them up for the mistake that they make. Punishment is a means of them helping them understand consequences. And so, yeah, I think it can be done in the right way, but there needs to be a lot of
bigger discussion needed.
Yes, around
how much discipline is needed,
yes.
What is enough. And we remember when corporal punishment was in place, some teachers really, really went for it when they had the chance. Assistant Minister?
When you were saying that, I was remembering hosepipe on my hands, but
I'm remembering those things too back in school.
I think we are a very violent society already. And part of the problem is because we are a violent society. Children get beaten up for very little things, and I don't think necessarily corporal punishment will do it. What's needed is much harder work. Corporal punishment is just too easy. You beat them, or you discipline them in a particular way. What we need as a society is patience and dialogue and values. And I must say thank you to, like, one child recently was vulgar from one school to another, and the whole community took responsibility and apologized and talked about the values. I think we need to be showing much more direction. And one thing we're lacking in this world is time. We're not lacking time, we are abusing time. We gladly are more on social media or in a social function rather than spending the time with the child. And I think there's much more. In our days, our parents were not, grandparents were not talking to us. They were showing us the eye and we would disappear. But the world has changed. We need to be having much more conversation, children asking much more questions. And how do you create that support? And I have a question for you guys. I mean, you think about it. When you go into the most difficult times, what do you think of? Who do you think of?
No, I don't have an answer to that.
Do you have, I mean, when you go through most difficult times, who do you think of?
Well, for me personally, I turn to my faith.
Faith.
Yeah.
Many of us think about our mothers or grandmothers, or, you know, like we look for shelter in our childhood, right? So when I think of childhood and the lessons that we learn through storytelling is what gives strength in decision making. So when I think about legacy issues, you know, people say I left this building or I created this organization. I think the bigger legacy is what we carry in our learning. So my great-grandmother would have taught my grandmother. And there are little things which we don't realize. But the strength that's built inside us and the values that are built inside us and the faith that's built inside us is by people. So unless there is that level of love, and when I say that, you know, largely we've become very nuclear. We've left our extended. When we don't have patience, if there's a grandparent, there's a larger family circle, that provides a different level of support. And I see it in some of my family children. When the parents are busy, there's a grandparent who's supportive, you know. And what does a larger family look like? That's why I'm saying, what are the safety nets? It doesn't have to be your own nuclear family. If I'm able to see your child as, you know, somebody I need to look after as well as being part of the society, without looking at race and religion and this and that, then maybe we create a community of love, which is what we grew up with. I mean, not you, maybe in our context. You go to a communal function, you are taught by so many people. How do you carry a plate? You'll be taught by an uncle and an aunt will snap, you know, like along the line you learn so many skills. So I think beyond corporal punishment, we need to develop that patience and love as a community to rethink the society we want and the legacy we want to leave behind.